Hey there, cats and kittens, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of the MonkeyBoy Presents the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, and today I'm happy to bring you issue number 90 in the collection, Blue Devil. And this character I've been following since the mid-80s or so. I used to collect some of the comic book cards, and he was one of my favorites looking characters on the cards, so I started picking up the comic book, and he's kind of neat. He's an occult superhero, lots of magic and mysticism. For those of you who recognize the character, you may know him from an episode of Justice League Unlimited, the old animated series. He has also more recently appeared on an episode of Young Justice, which was unfortunately recently canceled from Cartoon Network. And for those of you who do not know Blue Devil here, well, that's why we have the magazine, which we'll take a look at first, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about Blue Devil here, also known as Daniel Patrick Cassidy. And then we'll take a look at the figure itself, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's a really nice figure, great details, not one of the best ever, but he is, as I said, really, really cool. Sit back, relax, I hope you enjoy issue number 90 of the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, Blue Devil. First up, the character section. Where we meet Daniel Patrick Cassidy, an extremely intelligent, handsome, and charming young man who really could have been anything he wanted, and chose the life of a Hollywood actor and stuntman. After moving from Metropolis to Hollywood, he quickly impressed producers with his skills as a stuntman and his innovative designs as a prop master and special effects designer. Devil was a huge blockbuster at the theaters, in no small part due to the fact that Dan used practical special effects and prosthetics as opposed to CGI computer effects. While filming another movie as the Blue Devil, Dan's leading lady Sharon Scott inadvertently opened a portal into hell and unleashed an ancient demon known as Nebrios. After learning that he was fused to his Blue Devil costume, Dan searched for a way to remove it, and soon found himself in the midst of a legal battle as the owner of Warner Brothers Studios tried to claim ownership of Blue Devil's likeness. Dan also became what his friend Norm called a weirdness magnet, and soon found himself teaming up with other supernatural heroes, like the Sorceress Supreme, Zatanna. We also learn about some of his greatest team-ups and some of his greatest enemies. Early on in his career, Dan as the Blue Devil joined up with other supernatural heroes to form a group known as the Sentinels of Magic. He also became a reserve member of the Justice League of America and teamed up with Wonder Woman in a battle against a demon known as Lord Havoc. He also became arch-enemies with a villain known as Toyman, who used action figures in Blue Devil's likeness to try and kill the hero, and in battle deep within the bowels of hell against one of the Infernal Realm's most powerful demons, known as Neron. Full-blown demon, Dan found himself working in the pan-dimensional realm as a bouncer at the Oblivion Bar. where he was recruited by a group known as Shadow Pact to help battle against a corrupted Spectre and the evil Eclipso in an event known as the Day of Vengeance. As a full-blown demon, Blue Devil inadvertently rose through the ranks of Hell, which made him mortal enemies with another demon known as Etrigan. Dan also embarked on a series of labors in order to rid himself of his new demonic form and become human once again, and along the way learned that another demon known as the Jack of Fire was actually his long-lost brother. Not long after this, Blue Devil was exposed to a demonic plague that rid him of his demonic alter ego. He also learned that Jason Blood had been rid of Etrigan the Demon, but it was explained to him that he also lost his soul in the process. Together, Daniel Cassidy and Jason Blood found a way to regain their souls, but only if they were willing to accept to be rejoined with their demonic alter egos once again. Next, we look at a couple of Blue Devil's classic stories. First up, Blue Devil, Just Another Day in L.A. And this is one of Blue Devil's wackiest adventures. After finally mustering the courage to ask out his leading lady Sharon Scott, we find that his old arch-villain, known as the Trickster, comes crashing back into his life, being pursued by the assassin known as Bolt. Bolt has been hired to kill the Trickster in order to steal his anti-gravity shoes, so that an evil environmentalist group can use them to float the state of California away from the rest of the Union. It's zany, it's crazy, it's well illustrated, and it's a fun Blue Devil story. We also have Shadow Pact, Cursed. This story helped cement Blue Devil as one of the heavy hitters in the DCU after he learns that now that he's a full-blown demon and that he has made the occult more popular because he's a hero with the group known as Shadow Pact, he has risen through the ranks of the Infernal Pit to become what's known as a rhyming demon, stealing the title away from Etrigan the Demon. Etrigan, jealous that the Blue Devil has stolen his position, mounts a full-on assault against the Shadow Pact, decimating their ranks, causing the Blue Devil to storm Hell itself in order to set things right again. It's action-packed and has a lot of stunning twists and turns and is very well illustrated. Blue Devil's Friends and Foes section features fellow occult hero Zatanna, the demons Nebrios and Etrigan, and his longtime nemesis, the Trickster. Finally, the iconography section takes a look at some of the criminals and supervillains that have come out of Hollywood. In the 1940s, there was a movie studio called Stellar Studios, which was nothing more than a front for a group of high-tech bandits known as the Strike Force, who were eventually stopped by the Justice Society of America. During World War II, special effects wizard Eric Munson used his technological know-how to build mechanical devices that would rob banks for him until he was stopped by the ace fighting squadron known as the Blackhawks. We also learn of the one-time master of horror Basil Karlo, who went on to become the shape-changing supervillain known as Clayface. We also learn that he led a group of other shape-changing supervillains in Gotham, all once known as Clayface, who were known collectively as the Mud Pack. In Chicago, we learn of a villain known as the Muse, who gave up a career in acting to take over the family business in the Mafia. Finally, another Gotham villain who was a pyrotechnic wizard in Hollywood and also a pyromaniac who adopted the persona of Firefly to embark on a life of crime. Here we have Blue Devil, also known as Daniel Patrick Cassidy, and this is, I think, a really nice figure, bordering on great. He has some outstanding details, which I think make him really stand out in the collection. I also really dig the pose a lot too. It's not quite as nice as Starman's, and I have to say I might have been a little bit hard on Starman. I apologize to all of you out there. It's a nice figure, I just didn't feel it looked like Starman. But Blue Devil here is a great figure, bordering on great figure. It's just, there's not too much going on as far as the paint goes. He's just a few primary colors, but he's really nice. I love the blue skin. You can see how jacked he is. He is just ripped. He's a big, muscular dude, and I love the fact that they made him as large as they did. He's a big, big figure. You'll see that better in the pictures in the next section here. Love the horns. They're big and curved and demonic. His face is great. The goatee, the big yellow eyes. He's got his symbol on the shirt. The pants are also great. You can see, look at, even his legs are just ripped. He is just a big, bulky tank. I love the pinstriping down the legs of the pants, and his boots are really cool. I love those big boots with the flare collars, cuffs, whatever at the top of them there. And the boots too are really nice and glossy. The paint is good. He's got a lot of great details. He is a really, really nice figure. Another one that sort of took me by surprise, although I've liked Blue Devil for a long, long time, going back to the 80s there with that blue jumpsuit thing he used to wear. Very few problems I have with this guy, to be honest with you. One tiny fanboy issue I have, but I'll talk more about that in the next section in just a moment. Blue Devil stands atop the classic DC logo, and the underside of the base features his name and serial number. And so you can compare, here he is next to his friend and ally Wonder Woman, alongside the Sorceress Supreme, Zatanna, facing down his longtime enemy, the Special Edition Etrigan the Demon, and one last group shot with all of the other mystical and magical beings that have been released as part of the Eaglemoss collection so far. Blue Devil is another one of my personal favorites. I have liked this guy for a long, long time, and I'm really glad they decided to include him in this collection, and the interpretation, the version that they give us here, I think, for the most part, is very nice. He's very good, not quite great. And we'll begin, of course, with the good. I like the pose, I like the paint, it's very clean, it's very nice, lots of shadowing and shading. The sculpt is also outstanding, and the attention to detail is what I really like the most about this character. Starting, of course, at the base with his boots. I love the glossiness of the black, there's lots of wrinkling, lots of great sculpt going on, and I love the cuffs on the boots. They're that nice gray, and they're sort of a flat gray as opposed to the glossiness of the boots themselves. The red pinstriping on the side of the pants is really nice, and not only are they painted, but those pinstripes are also sculpted into the leg of the pants. And the pants themselves are great. Lots of wrinkling and crinkling, and you can see the sculpt in his muscles on the legs. He's huge. He's a tank. He's just massive. I love the detail that they gave him. His belt has a little buckle on the center, and it's a nice sort of metallic gray. The upper body also is really outstanding. Lots of great musculature. Again, he is just pumped. The blue skin is also really cool. It's flat. It almost looks like a sort of flesh tone in a sense. And every finger on both hands are molded, are sculpted. You can see every finger. His biceps are just huge and bulging. His back has lots of musculature. And the shirt is also nice. It's this great glossy black. It almost looks like a sort of spandex or a muscle shirt or something like that. It's really, really cool. And also a really nice touch on this figure is the logo is hand painted, or at least stenciled on. It is not a decal, and there's a really cool three-dimensionality to it too. If you look, the blue of the devil sort of logo has a shadow to it on that red. It's really, really nicely done. Finally, the head sculpt, I think, is outstanding. It is one of the nicer head sculpts. The open mouth, the fact that the teeth are showing on, well, at least his upper jaw anyway. He has the goatee, which is also painted black. His ears have nice points. He has wrinkles on his bald head. The horns have ridges, and they're tall and curved, and they look really, really nice and demonic. And his left ear even has the earring, and it has this great metallic gold flecking to it, and his eyes are great. They're big and bright yellow, sunken in with that great black eyeshadowing all the way around. This head sculpt is really what makes the character, the fact that he's sort of shouting and screaming and he looks angry and pumped. I am a big fan of this character. He's very, very good. On to the bad, and aside from a little bit of paint bleed here and there, my only complaint, and this is just a fanboy thing, I wish he had his pitchfork. That would have been a nice touch. It almost looks as though he should be holding it the way he's posed, but again, just a little fanboy wish. Finally, the ugly. There's really nothing to speak of on this figure. He's very solid. He's made of lead. I suppose his horns, you might want to check those before you buy just to make sure they're not gnarled or anything, but he is a very solid figure. Overall, I really like Blue Devil. I think it's a really great figure in the collection. Unexpected. I love the supernatural characters, the non-human characters, and he definitely qualifies as a non-human. He almost has a sort of Hellboy kind of look to him as well, which I really, really like. And again, the sculpt on him is just superb. I love all the little details, like the goatee, the horns, the earring, the eyes. It's all really great. He's awesome to have as, like I said, another supernatural character in the collection. You sort of have the Shadow Pact with him and Detective Chimp and Zatanna. She's a kind of part-time member, which is always cool. And I just think he is sort of diverse. He breaks the lineup. He's not your typical hero, and I really like him personally. He is very good, borderlining on great. And I hope you have enjoyed my review of Blue Devil. Please stay tuned for a quick teaser trailer of the next figure in the collection. We're going back into the Blackest Night, Brightest Day sub-series collection with another hero in the series and a White Lantern, the first White Lantern in this collection. I hope you stay tuned. As always, I am your host, the Monkey Boy, aka Jay to his friends. Thanks for watching.